is 6:32. I would like to call to order this meeting of the Public Safety Committee of the Holyoke City Council. As Jenny Rivera, I am honored to serve as the chairperson of this committee. Before we begin our agenda, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the members of our committee. We have to my left, Councilor Patty Devine, and to my right, Councilor Israel Rivera. Present today, additionally, we have Councilor Carmen Ocasio joining us here in chambers. Online,
Lynn Horan.
we have Lynn Horan representing the Disabilities Commission. We have Attorney Mike Bissonette. Sean Sheedy is from
School Department.
the school department?
Yep.
Oh, okay. We have Officer Borrego. We have Betty Larrabee.
Larrabee. She's with the Disability Commission.
Disability Commissions as well.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Today's meeting is being held in chambers, is being broadcasted on the public access channel. It is also available for viewing via Zoom and on the city website. Please note that we are recording this meeting for documentation purposes. And with that being said, let's officially commence our Public Safety Committee meeting. I'll entertain a motion to take item 1 off the table.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, item 1, filed by Councilor Devine, order that the mayor, in conjunction with the HPD and Disabilities Commission, give an update on making the HPD building handicap accessible.
And I'll make a motion to have Lynn Horan and Betty Larrabee. If there's anybody else that would like to speak on this and give us an update, perhaps Officer Borrego as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't be shy.
We can't hear you, Lynn. It's probably on her
Is
end,
it
right?
mute?
No, it's not
No,
muted.
it's not
Okay.
muted, but we still can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
I don't think she can hear us either.
Jeff or Natalia?
Jeff?
But we can't hear you.
We can't hear any of you.
Yeah. And you guys look like you were talking to each other, but
What is
you're
that?
not talking to us. just so you know.
Council Chambers.
Okay. Because that's on mute.
But you can't even hear him here. That's not on mute.
Yeah. Betty, can you hear us?
They can hear us. They can hear us. We just can't hear them. I just saw Jeff's little yellow box light up because Jeff was
Yeah,
talking to him.
Lynn could hear us. She's saying yes. But we can't hear you guys. So let's see Jeff or Natalia.
Yeah, Natalia's right here.
Oh, she's right here trying
They're
to.
working. They're doing the job jizzle.
Lynn, do you have your volume up?
Yeah, she's not on mute.
On Zoom, the people on Zoom can hear us, but we cannot hear them.
Right.
Is the computer muted? You mean the one in the council chambers?
Is it this one? Is just turn up volume? No?
I don't know.
Thank you for bearing with us during these technical
I can hear
difficulties.
you now talking here. Oh, I hear Lynn.
I hear Lynn
I heard you
laughing.
laugh. Oh, we can't hear you over there. No, hold on. Not working.
Just need the volume up, however.
How do I turn this? No.
I think you should be set now.
Okay.
Okay,
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
We
great.
hear you.
Go say it.
Welcome. The floor is all yours.
Okay, thanks. This happens to everybody anywhere at all levels. I'm Lynn Horan, Vice Chair of the Disability on, the Commission on Disability. I'm here mostly just to quickly see and hear. Hopefully, we had hoped for an update on the issue that I discovered actually myself, being a person who uses a wheelchair, when having to drop papers off at our police department, that there were very wide, which was good, but heavy doors without easy access for someone like myself who is disabled and has mobility issues. We contacted the mayor, and he contacted the relevant departments with DPW, and fast forward, we had a great meeting. Thanks to Patty Devine also putting in an order to support us in getting this taken care of. And we had a great meeting in October of the Commission on Disabilities, and in attendance was Sergeant Zerhide and Officer Borrego, also Matthew Peterson, the building supervisor, and we began to kind of see where and communicate with each other about where they were going. And Matt had put in, had started to put in for some estimates, and we were looking at that and discussing where we might also find funding to help them get this done. Then I think, and Betty also was in attendance, our secretary who's here tonight, and she can add to anything I may have missed. But at that point, after the meeting, we exchanged an email, and Matt Peterson was asking for some more information in terms of measurements and specifics that ADA suggests for those sorts of doors. And both Kelly Curran, our ADA officer, and myself, through the Massachusetts Office on Disability, emailed him some further diagrams and specifics to help him along. But that was about a month and a half ago, roughly, something like that. And so we're hoping maybe to hear an update, both to see how it's progressing and also if there's anything we can do to aid it. So that's pretty much it from me.
Okay, thank you. Officer Borrego?
Hello. Thank
Hi.
you for having me. Don't have much of an update on my side. Unfortunately, I'm just waiting for the quotes to come in because DPW maintains our building. So they reached out to get quotes to see how much it would cost. I believe they're still trying to decide on funding on the doors. So that aspect, that's as far as I know, has gone.
Okay, thank you. Betty, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, thank you. I'm following up on what Lynn talked about on the funding issue. During our meeting, Kelly Curran, our ADA compliance coordinator, sent an email to Alicia Zoller about possible refunding, reallocating funds. And she indicated through email a couple days after that there could be $20,000 available for this project. And the estimate at that point, looking at possible renovations, not knowing ADA compliance issues, the issue was maybe around $18,000 to rehab the doors. We have not heard anything else on the reprogrammed funds, but those monies could be available in the future to fund this project if it met ADA compliance issues.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
Just reiterating what Betty said, and I have spoken briefly with Alicia at the board and commissions meeting that the mayor put on. And Betty's absolutely right. It looks like that is exactly from one of the block grants there from the CDBG. I never get that acronym correct and in the right order. But that is the grant, as Betty said, that they are block grants that they're looking at to help us fund. And those are the last of the figures we heard. But again, hoping, again, in an effort of communication, just trying to figure out whether we have any more information ever, either through that funding or, so I guess my question to Officer Borrego was, so you don't know any more in terms of, you're waiting for an estimate still of the DPW that they're trying to solicit. Is there any idea of when those might come in, understanding we're at the end of the year?
Not at this time. I can reach out to Matt and try to speed up the process, or at least get a update on time frame. But he has made contact with them, but sometimes it's hard to get them down to do that specialty, or replacement type of doors.
Yeah, and again, if you can just every month or so at least kind of give us drop us an email and let us know either how it's progressing or if you're running into obstacles, and it sounds like we can recontact Alicia too and find out what's going on with that. Though we're all kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with those grants, quite frankly, in the coming 4 years could be jeopardized. We'll see.
All right, I also have Kelly Curran here in Chambers. I'll let her speak on it.
Hi, I made it from the Health Trust meeting. I'm like, motion to adjourn, and I'm like, I gotta go. Thank you, Betty and Lynn, for joining the committee tonight. I thought Matt had one quote, and I think we were soliciting a few others because of the cost, but yeah, everything they said is accurate. Alicia agreed to give us a certain amount of money, and we're hoping that we can afford to do it the right way with those funds. That's all I had to add, unless you had any questions.
Okay. Councilor Devine?
Yeah, I have a question, or maybe it's a comment, I'm not sure. This is a great update on what's been going on, and we certainly are going to be waiting for more information. My question is, or maybe my comment, with winter coming, does this affect the project at all, with it being cold outside, that type of thing? I don't know.
I probably can't speak too well to that, but I think there's a set of double doors
Right.
in between that could buffer the air,
Okay.
so it won't go into the building.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Well, I was thinking of the workers outside.
Oh,
putting it
okay. I think they're used to the elements.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you. Should we
Table it. until-
table it for?
Yeah, if you let Jenny know when you have more information, especially from Alicia,
Okay.
because that's the key,
Yeah,
getting the
and
money.
I think she's waiting for the quotes from Matt Peterson was working on it. So I messaged him, and I'll send you all an email update, and then
Okay.
I'll ask them to come back when we're ready to move forward with it.
Okay.
But let's stay on top of it so it happens.
Well, you guys certainly are working on it, that's for sure. So I'll make a motion that we table it until they let us know, and we'll put it on the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you all.
That was easy.
So I'll make a motion to take item 2
And 3,
and 3 together.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's, all right, that's cool. Because I feel like number 2 is a little different than 3, but they are similar. I can see. But yeah, sure.
Okay. So item 2, filed by Councilor Rivera, order that the Parks and Rec, along with the school department, come into public safety to discuss the management and maintenance of the parks that are on school property. There has been much confusion as to who is responsible for what, and it is important for the city to get formal understanding so that we are able to better fund things are needed. Able to better fund things are needed. That are needed, okay. And then item number 3, filed by Councilor Israel Rivera, also Councilor Carmen Ocasio, order that the members of the Parks and Rec Commission be invited into public safety to discuss plans around Springdale Park, as well as what the plans or if any support is needed in potential park improvement throughout the city. And I would also like to recognize Tom Reynolds, which is online on Zoom. I apologize for not recognizing you before.
Sean,
No worries.
Yeah, I have mentioned Sean before.
So yeah, thank you. So for item 2, I filed this order more or less to try to start the conversation around the relationship between the management of the school department properties and public park properties, which at sometimes although they are all one, sometimes there is a little bit of a confusion. So I think a good example is some schools have parks that are within like their spaces that are not necessarily considered public parks, but then some of them, like McMahon School, for example, has a field that is technically public but is also on school property. So in the summertime, when playing softball or when coaching softball or coaching youth sports, you hear throughout the city complaints about whether there's lining issues or maintenance of cutting the grass within the certain parks, or even like missing pieces at certain how do you say columpios in English? Swings, right? Swings and stuff like that. So there have been complaints from residents that say that they call certain departments, and then the school will say that it's not necessarily their property, right? That it would be a Parks and Recs issue. And sometimes when we come to find out, technically that's not the case. Sometimes it is a school issue, or if not, it is a Parks and Recs issue. So I think for us, it's trying to decipher what this means and trying to streamline how best to approach situations that can be confusing to residents that would like to or that utilize the fields in the sense that they have been utilizing them. So you guys can feel free to speak on some more if you want, or.
I mean, I'll start, and I think I should see Sean on here. So, yeah, there's my golden resource there is the assessor's map to see who's got whose property there, and based on what we do, from what I know, we're responsible for maintaining all the fields, the sporting fields. There are a handful of them that we maintain that are school property on there. Donahue, Sullivan, McMahon, as you chose. Peck is another one, but Crozier's ours. So there's some leeway there. In terms of playgrounds, from what I understand, Whitney was maintaining the playgrounds that are on school property. McMahon, Donahue wasn't there, just got put in. Ian White, Lawrence Svensson, McNally at Kelly School, and stuff like that. So as far as I know, all the mulch and stuff and playground work was with them, and then we maintained all the sporting fields. So the diamonds, the soccer fields, the McMahon's, the Sullivans, the Donahues and Bennett type deal is us, as far as I know. There's questions about this as well that I have that, for my predecessors before, that we're trying to figure out. I had a good witness, still have a good witness relationship with Whitney. I have a good relationship with Sean, and I'm more than happy to, when it comes down to figuring out who's got to get what done and stuff like that, more than happy to have a conversation with each of them. I know Whitney's retired, but Sean's the new. More than happy to work out and hash out what do we need to do to get done in terms of these items. So.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Madam Chair, for having me, Councilor Rivera, Councilor Devine. Yeah, so I just want to bring up I know we were talking about a little bit of language portion, but I have a blurb from the direct language that we use. And so this is an agreement between the city and the schools. And it states that the city of Holyoke and the Holyoke Public Schools agree to the annual fee for the Parks and Recreation Department to upkeep and maintain of the school's parks ground. And we pay $75,000 a year for that. So the schools gives Parks and Recs $75,000 a year to maintain the parks and the grounds surrounding the schools in those parked areas. As far as Tom was saying about the playgrounds, yeah, we've used different funding, ARPA, district funding, CDBG funding to do upgrades in the parks, and then we maintain the mulch every year. We carry a certain dollar amount for that to put mulch at all of the schools. And we're still going through changing the playgrounds to new playgrounds. McMahon is one, for example, that's about to go out to bid. That's through CDBG that I'll be putting out on the street soon here for a full renovation of that. With new put-in-place rubber surfacing, getting rid of the mulch, getting rid of that old structure and everything in there. But as far as maintaining the parks go, the schools don't do that. The schools take care of the trash that's kind of around the schools, the sidewalk area and things of that nature. And most of our schools, we don't even have trash barrels. Those are DPWs or parks barrels. We don't have that. Our guys go out with pickers and get the immediate trash right around the school itself. And they will work on the playground itself because we know we have our kids going out there. So that's a big item for us, is to make sure we get out there, make sure there's nothing sharp or anything like that. The custodians will get that cleaned up. But a lot of the stuff that I think this is stemming from is from the sporting events on the weekends. Where our staff is coming in on Monday morning and there's 30 packs overflowing beer. There's just trash floating around everywhere from these huge sporting events that are happening on the grounds, and then the school itself suffers from that. And then our guys, the custodians, have so much to do anyways in the morning time that they're overwhelmed. They're not going to be able to do that. And then if you go back to, and I hate to keep referring back to the agreement, where there is money allocated, that $75,000 is allocated every year for Parks and Recs to maintain those parks and fields.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from any of my colleagues?
Carmen?
I have a question. On the are you guys responsible to replace the tables at Springdale Park, or is it DPW? Because those need to be trashed and new ones put up. And also, the graffitiing on the handball, what you call it?
Handball court.
In the handball court. They're also graffitiing on that. And around that area too, the young lady there, she does the handball court terminates. She told me that the handball court needs to be bigger. I don't know who's supposed to take a look at that, because I did put an order for that. Because the one that's there is too small.
Yep.
So to make it wider.
I mean, that's Springdale Park. There's no school attached to that. So is that going down to that next item, or are we still on
No, just so
schools and?
So we'll move on to that one soon. And Carmen, I think there's two pieces as to what Carmen just asked. One piece is this, moving on to the next item for Springdale, but then there's a piece that I think that. Thank you, Sean, for the breakdown. Really appreciate that. And I think one of the intentions for me of following the order is so that people have an understanding. Now, if there's an understanding of what the relationship is and how things work. I think the second piece here is with regards to like the maintenance of the parks, Tom, I know that there is somewhat of limitations there, even there for you with regards to maintenance of the parks. Is there, like, kind of speaking to Carmen's point, so like even if we were to put in a request for a table to be replaced, it would go probably to Tom, but then to DPW. Is that correct? Because technically DPW sends out the manpower or manages the manpower of the maintenance of the parks. Is that, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so Springdale Park, right, with no school attached to it. Yeah, that's going to be straight Parks and Recreation. I could see how like McMahon School, like you're confused, or Donahue, between school and Parks and Rec. But seeing there's no school there, yeah, that would be. I mean, we get the calls, but yeah, we're going to send it along to the DPW grounds crew, and do what we can to get that. I mean, hopefully we have boards or something in house. And like I said, I know we're talking about Springdale next on that, and I could touch on that whole, or the tables and stuff into that, and planning and replacement and stuff like that. But, just back to this first one we're talking about right now, yeah, there's definitely some issues, that we've had. I know at Donahue, we had a big soccer group that was kind of misleading in the permit process, this year. And there were a couple instances earlier in the year when Donahue was in school, and there was definitely some trash left about, and we had to, bring that group who was responsible for it in and really break down. I think it was like a big flex squad meeting, and we had to break down with mayor involved and Board of Health and fire and police, and what really had to be explained to us in numbers, because what they put in our permit wasn't really what they brought to the table or they brought to the field that day, and I apologize up and down for that. And that's on us, for permitting. I went out there 2 Sunday nights in a row for a couple hours and picked up trash myself, as we received after that first week an email from Ms. Garcia up there concerning that fact with litter and stuff being from those events. And if we had other places to put these people, we totally would do that. And we understand it. And we assume all that responsibility on places like that, with the playgrounds, stuff like that. The other fields, stuff like that, I know we're talking about funding. And I think the timing of this is when we kind of went through, when we got that gator for Roberts to maintain the field. We are doing the fields and stuff like that too. So, I know that I've come into this and, we got machines kind of slowly kind of getting to the end of their life. And I know we've gotten some from schools and stuff like that. And, we've had issues with stuff. I don't know the inventory, what we have for machinery and how new they are or how old they are. I know a lot of them have been kind of pieced and band-aided together over the years and stuff. So, in terms of funding for property and stuff like that, we would be the ones taking on all that stuff. But just the machines are starting to kind of kick here. I know we had a big mower out for 2 summers to kind of patch it together, and there's a request and a money transfer and stuff, but I think it's not coming out till next year. So we were kind of hosed a little bit this year. So we're trying to do the best we can with what we have. We do, again, I say it all the time, we're so fortunate to have so many spaces, but unfortunately we don't have always the manpower to cover all that. With that too, is I wish our guys could get to 7 a.m. on Monday mornings and clean up trash at playgrounds that are used for events and stuff that during the weekend. We try to do our best, but we have a lot. And moving forward, I'd be as proactive as I can, and be mindful of all the properties and who's involved and who's going there. I understand that coming in the morning, that's not the last thing they want to see. So, like I said, I have a good relationship with Sean, and whatever we can do to make sure and be proactive here rather than reactive and try to plan ahead. So for that piece, that's all I got.
So the last piece for me is that $75K is in your budget, or is that into DPW's budget?
To be quite honest with you, I think that goes to the general fund. It's not like they're handing us a check for $75,000. We would have very nice new equipment, aligners, and machinery, and maybe another salary in there. I don't know where that goes, but it definitely doesn't come to us, and I don't think it goes directly to DPW. It might go into just a general city budget. As far as I know, I can look into that, get a better answer, but it definitely doesn't come directly to us. So,
just to kind of, it would be good to have an idea of what's being paid for with regards to the $75K to see.
Yeah, I would love to know too. Yeah. So then we could have more things, or another person, set of boots on the ground, or new machinery, or yada yada yada.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
And so, and Tom, I just want to kind of echo what you're saying. I appreciate everything that you're doing for us, and I know it's a lot, especially with big events and things like that. And I'm echoing what Superintendent Soto wants and why I'm here. We just want to make sure that the parks are clean and that they're staying clean. So when the kids do come in, and then our guys, like I said, the custodians will go out and do their cleaning in the mornings and do the playgrounds, making sure that that's safe for the kids and everything. But we just want to make sure, like me and you, we connect to make sure that the guys, as soon as they roll out of DPW in the morning time, that they're heading down to the schools and picking up the trash and everything like that. And then me and you, we can get a text thread going, right? And just talk to each other. If I'm seeing stuff, I just text you or text John to it, and connect on that level. And just kind of stay ahead of it, like you said, and be proactive.
For sure. It just, there's challenges here with certain schools and certain neighborhoods that whether we have an event there or not, it's fortunate that there's trash blown about and pushed everywhere and not maintained on people taking in and taking out what they have. With a 7-man crew though, on a Monday morning, I can't get to the 7 schools that are abutted those things, but, and if we know that a certain place is going to have a weekend event, we'll try to send them there first thing in the morning. But yeah, like I said, I'll work with you as best I can and give you a heads up if we have rentals at certain places, and we'll try to prioritize those. And the last thing I want is anything to be unsafe at any school or any field or any playground, whether it's yours, mine, or the next neighborhood over. I don't want sharp things and trash to be littered on especially new playgrounds. But there's challenges with that. But I will do whatever we can to like I said, be on that same page and work with you guys and have the parks and facilities as clean as we possibly can, not only for you, but for everybody else that's trying to use them.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, Tom, also, side note, you still have down at Central Supply Warehouse, my warehouse, you guys still have like 4 concrete tables with the checkerboard on top, or the chessboard on top with the seating that goes around it. We still have 4 pallets full of those ready to go in somewhere. Just a reminder, don't forget about those. We have those still.
Good to know. Well, I'll reach out with you for those.
Yeah, we still have them. Yep, they're still crated up and everything, ready to be installed.
Good to know. I'll get on that.
Thank you. And then I think for item 3, I think, thank you guys for clarification on item 2. For item 3, for me on my end, when I'm just trying to keep in the loop with regards to what's going on for the plans with Springdale Park. When I was on the commission, I knew that there was a master plan around the remodeling of the park, and that there was somewhat of an approach that was hopefully going to be taken. And I know that transition and a lot of other things that have been coming up over time have made it a little bit more difficult. But for myself, and I know for Councilor Ocasio, is somewhat of an update as to where things are with Springdale Park. There are certain things that she's mentioned with regards to short planning, I guess you would say, quick, easier fixes, the changing of tables here and there. But then that can impact the larger piece of whatever's happening for a master plan, if that's what's happening too at the same time. So if you could speak more on that, Tom, that would be great too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me, guys. Appreciate you. So Springdale, where we sit right now, coming in, I know we already had that master plan developed a handful of years ago. It's hard. There's a high price tag on there then, so it's probably gonna be a high price tag to knock off a lot of that as we go. I did not get the CDBG ask for the splash pad last year. I did get it this year. I literally just signed the contract yesterday. So I'm working with Ted in procurement to get that paperwork and stuff out the door to bid. So that's exciting. We'll have that money there. We also have the opportunity that I think we're going to probably take advantage of it and try to use that money we got from CDBG and use it against another grant, like an LWCF, which is, Land, Water, and Conservation Fund grants that are through the state and Fed. They offer a percentage of a match. Don't want to say match. I want to say more of a reimbursement based on locality, municipality, area projects. So we potentially could fill out a grant knowing that we have the money from CDBG in hand and see if we can leverage more money using the money that we already have to increase that pot of money and therefore at the same time make a bigger dent into that master plan at Springdale. So my award from CDBG this past spring, winter is $400,000. So we will be updating that splash pad, probably kind of moving it away from the street a little bit. I now know why that fence is there by that area because the splash pad is so close to the street. So we're going to kind of move it closer to the picnic tables, or not, the park, the new playground that was put in there from 2020, and kind of bridge the gap between those two installations. Try to get some little concrete pads in there, have some benches, some more picnic tables, some new picnic tables that aren't wood, that are hopefully last a lot longer. Maybe some umbrellas that cover for some shade, and have a more little kind of a leisure area so families can enjoy not only the splash pad, but can also be close to that playground as well. Going into CBG again this coming year, we could ask for some more for there. I know there's other asks that are going to be. I know Sean's going to the schools, so those are kind of what the big projects will be for there. In terms of short term, we did replace all the wood on those tables. You think tables underneath trees are a good idea. Wood tables under trees are a good idea, but size of those trees and the amount of water, they're just moldy, mildew, the concrete shifting. So we do need to probably pull one of those out and reset some new ones in there. But we did take the boards out of the ones that were still stable and safe and replaced all the boards for sitting and for the tabletop. Because we did go down there, we were getting some rentals and stuff and permits to use those picnic tables, and we went down there and the state of those weren't the best. So we had one of our workers, we did order for some lumber, and they went down there and have at it, and we replaced those picnic tables that are under those trees. So shade's a good thing, but under a tree that drops all the water onto the table is not the best. The handball court, the Ortiz has definitely mentioned that's small. That's going to probably be in a greater idea of what we're going to do to move forward. I know the master plan had a lot of those courts in different places than they currently are. So revisiting this master plan and what's attainable and what's doable, is definitely a priority as we move forward. I do feel that splash pad will be a huge asset and build. But we do need to move forward into the bigger projects, and that's going to be that area by the building. The building itself is not in the best of shape for the municipal building project. I kind of question, I'm not sure why that one got left out as it's kind of half unusable, the leaky roofs and stuff like that. So, that's going to be a big piece too. Are we going to want to use that? I know the master plan had it for bathrooms and a visitor center type thing, or so what we have to do that. So, some of this money we'll have to, if we can get more funding for it, is probably to do an engineering study of that building and what's salvageable and what can we do to rehab that to make it usable. And then that directly correlates with the parking area around that section. If you're in Springdale or been around Springdale, we've had issues over the past year or so with cars, dirt bikes, motor vehicles driving to those picnic tables along the middle. And it's very unsafe as certain times of the year. We have kids, families, people playing and stuff like that. So people are driving out past the signs that say no driving. So what we did is we had some trees that were cut down through the city and we dropped them off there to act like a barrier. So aesthetically, it's not the best. It is working. It's keeping a lot of cars and motor vehicles, not so much the dirt bikes off there, but it's doing a good help right now where we kind of see what we want to do with, do we do like a small little like timber guardrail and border that? But we want to keep the horse in front of the carriage, right? And we don't want to start thinking about parking lot and border that fence without addressing the big item there is going to be the building, which will ultimately determine that end of the park, the shape of the park, the shape of the parking lot around that, et cetera, and on and on. So, I think we're going to try to look and gear after getting this playground in there. What can we do? Is a small blacktop quicker and easier? I'd love to do that and put that in there, but would that handball wall, will that be removed to be for another piece installation to be put in there. So I just don't want to double down and do, you know, a blacktop somewhere and widen that only to figure out that we're going to be pulling that out in 2 years or a year because we're going to do something new that, you know, funding came for. So I know Bob Parent, when I came in, gave me the rundown of how methodical we need to be with this project. It's a very difficult project because of the size of the field and the stuff going in. And he said we need to be smart about it so we just don't waste money that could be used to maximize, you know, obviously the legitimacy of that park and what we can offer there. So short term, you know, our big plan real quick, you know, like I said, that splash pad's gonna be the next item going in there. Hopefully we get some money and we can gear it towards some engineering study for that building and really see what we can do. If that building can be rehabbed and salvaged and reusable, I would love to stick our offices in there and have us right down in Springdale Park where we can walk out and have easy programming and have all our stuff down there. We're not shipping people back and forth across the city. So, I mean, pie in the sky is to have our space down there and have something of a rec-ability down there where we can kind of do programming and stuff. You know, we're gearing up to kind of planning this as we go. You know, grant season's upon us. So, you know, like I said, just it's a revolving door. It keeps moving parts, stuff like that. But, you know, we want to try to bring as much money. I just feel like the price of stuff, since I think that plan was put in 2017, 2018, I mean, it's at least doubled of some of those costs of materials and labor and stuff like that. So, you know, I'll apply to wherever we can apply to. I'll be savvy with the money we have and try to match it.
Real quick, it sounds like that we should be reevaluating the master plan, so that way we have another plan moving forward. So that way we have benchmarks, because right now we might be just piecemealing things moving forward.
Well, I mean, the price tag, the price tag on that was $5 million in 2018 to put all that stuff projected in there with parking, building a new building for parks, grounds crew, you know, courts, fitness, walkways. I don't see, you know, and we'll look. It's the time to say we're not going to apply. I mean, you can't. It doesn't hurt to ask for money in these sources and stuff like that. But it would have to be, if we want to get a big chunk of this done, it's going to have to be a big chunk of money from a grant. And then I'll chase them down. I'll apply to them all and see what we can do to get the most. And if it's not, we're going to be doing an installation by installation. It's going to be year to year, or, you know, maybe 2 things a year, 2 things every other year. Like I said, it's the money from CPA and CDBG. You know, there's other playgrounds in other places, you know, the schools and stuff like that they have them too. So, you know, I'm not saying we're competing for the money, but, you know, these things are expensive and some of them are older and need to be replaced completely. You know, so we'll have to chase some big grants down the road to get a big substantial bite taken out of this. I was, you know, instructed by Chris Baker before he left just to say, like, hey, if you get a pot of money for a project, get a little bit extra that you can and keep the project rolling into studying and planning for future. So it keeps rolling. So there's no stopped progress happening there. It just kind of keeps going into the next thing. So a study could be done on the building and then hopefully an engineering, you know, firm could come in, we can do that. But yeah, I mean, I think we need to, you know, understand and realistically sit and look at what we have on that master plan and what's realistically attainable to get, you know, in our hands at one time to get it. You know, a lot of these grants that are big pockets are reimbursement, and you need to have some money to put up for them to give you some money to reimburse back with. So, you know, some of these asks could be we may need to pocket or have find, you know, $1 to $2 million in order to get another $1 to $2 million from another grant source. Not saying it's impossible, but, you know, it poses a little challenge for us. So, but, you know, I'm all for what we can do, and, you know, I'd rather get more things done at one time, but we also, I mean, we can only go as far as our funding can allow us to.
Thank you. Any questions from any other colleagues?
I have a question or comment, really, to Tom and to Sean. I'm assuming that the teams that play either at Mackenzie or Springdale, the adult leagues, that they pay a fee to play at those fields? Yes? Okay.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, I'm assuming they do a contract, and I do think that they try like crazy to clean up after themselves, but sometimes there's not enough barrels, so I don't know if you want to get more barrels, if you can get them through community development block grants, or in the contract, assuming they're signing a contract, does it say anything about and again, I'm not trying to criticize, because I've seen them. I know they try to clean up as much as they can. Is there something in the contract that they sign that you can add, please clean up, or get more barrels, if that's a problem?
So the adult softball leagues pose challenges ourselves on daily. Trash is a big thing. And it doesn't seem like some, I don't want to post, and blame this on all softball players, because some do. Some really care, some really try, some clean. It depends on who it is and who's coming in. If we have people from a league that take it for like a big tournament day, we usually have, and we have been dealing with the trash left over. And at Roberts Field, or not Roberts, I'm sorry, at John Young. I mean, we had someone posted up there every single day, and they were cleaning every single morning when they got there first thing. And it really doesn't, the more barrels isn't always the issue, or isn't always the solution, because we can have, I think we had 7 barrels around that softball field, and they're just not, stuff's not making it into the barrels and stuff, So the adult leagues don't sign contracts. We just do permits based on usage. And obviously we do a long-term permit, Fridays ongoing or Saturdays ongoing and stuff like that. But they're not going to sign a contract like we have for like the Blue Sox or Elms or we don't, yeah. So, and sometimes it's a grind, and we're reaching out to the league directors and officials up there and saying, hey, I mean, you guys are adults here. You got to lead by example. John Young is a field that during the spring is used by the high school kids, and you guys use it at night when they're done. And, luckily we do have someone at McKenzie that, the trash does get picked up every single morning. So we know how they get the field at 5 o'clock, and we're trying to, paint that picture for them that, not everybody has that luxury of having that to be someone there, because we have someone there for the fields. But, it's a grind, and trash is a thing for sure. But we'll do what we can, and we have barrels available, but, we can harp on it and tell them, and, sometimes it falls on deaf ears, but, we'll do it.
Thank you. I know you do the best you can, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion that the item 2 and 3 are complied with.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Thank you, counselors. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, counselors. Thank you, Sean.
Make a motion to take item 4 off the table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 4 was filed by Madam President Tessa Murphy Ramboletti and myself, ordered that the city install a raised crosswalk or other appropriate alternative on Nick Cosmos Way in front of the Boys and Girls Club to ensure pedestrian safety for residents, kids, and staff accessing the park.
Madam Chairman, I might be able to answer this for you, if that's all right.
Yours.
Jeffrey was good enough to explain this to me. The ordinance for a raised sidewalk, you need to get a petition signed by the neighbors. There are no neighbors down there by the boys club, there's no building, there's no apartments. So I think and I talked to Tessa about this, I think what we probably need to do is send this to ordinance to amend the ordinance to include places like the boys club that have no ability to get a petition signed by people that live there. I did ask Jeffrey about what about getting signatures from the people that use the club, but the ordinance says it has to be people that live in the area. So that would be my suggestion, would be to move this to ordinance committee to see if, and the law department, to see if we can get an amendment to that ordinance that includes places like the boys club, because it's really needed for the speeding and things. We just can't do it with a petition. So I thought that the chair of the ordinance committee, who's so good, could take this up right away once he gets the order and take care of it from there. So that would be my suggestion.
Couldn't we do a special permit?
For a raised sidewalk, I don't know.
Jeffrey had his hands up.
Okay.
Jeff?
No, I mean, I had raised it with the planning to suggest that you talk to the law department about it, but then you brought up the law department after I raised my hand, so.
Okay.
Yeah, because like you and I spoke about, the ordinance specifically says, signatures of people who live within 300 feet of the impacted segment. But to your point, because there aren't residents who live within 300 feet of that area, maybe the law department can weigh in on how that situation would play out.
Izzy had a question about, could we do it by special permit?
And we have Mike.
Or would that be the law department could tell us?
There we go. Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette.
Okay.
Evening.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
I'm not sure we could use a special permit in this instance. It's a good point because I'm thinking about where the boys club is and what's nearby. And there's nothing within a football field of it except maybe, and I'm not even sure if the Newton Street properties would qualify. But perhaps we can do an exception in the ordinance for nonprofits located in the areas that don't have the density to comply with the current ordinance. That would be an exception to that rule. I suppose we could craft that as part of the revision to the ordinance.
All right, we'll talk about it in an ordinance then.
Okay. And if the law department could craft that, then we could get it done. Because a lot of people do cross that street, for sure.
Well, and the building's being fixed on the corner of Cabot and Nick Cosmo's Way. So that'll have residents, and there'll be a lot of residents right there. They're redoing the whole entire apartment block.
I think it's going to be 24 units.
So maybe that can help. For now, we could probably discuss it in ordinance. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Make a motion that we send this to the law department with a copy to ordinance.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
just a quick note, if you copy something to the ordinance committee, they can't act on it if your intent is to change the ordinance.
Okay, so I changed that to make a motion to send this to ordinance with a copy of the law department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jeff.
All righty. Motion to take item 5 off the table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5 is filed by Counselor Megan McGrath Smith and Counselor Israel Rivera. Order that the fire chief communicate a written plan for supporting firefighters to successfully complete their EMT certifications, especially for those who have previously failed to pass the exams required and are approaching the 2-year deadline. Counselor, I don't see Megan McGrath Smith online. So, oh, I'm sorry. I do see her online.
Yeah.
Megan?
And I'm going to raise my hand on that as well.
Hi, yes, I wanted to just listen in on the follow-up early on. We had a good conversation, and when Israel Rivera and I spoke about it, we decided that it might make sense to have a follow-up at a later point. So I think this is coming up now as a result of that. I don't know if anything was sent to the committee as a result, or if we're going to be asking for it at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Jeff, did they communicate, the fire department communicate anything around this to us, or do we have to send out communication to them to see if we're gonna get anything back?
So I was asked to put this on the agenda for the purpose of having some sort of referral sent to them.
Oh, okay.
I'll explain why.
All right.
Counselor Levine.
Yeah, I can explain why. I think this should go to the fire commission, and the reason being, I was a fire commissioner, and we did take this type of thing up. I remember specifically a firefighter who had a learning disability that prevented him from taking tests with a room full of people. So we were able to accommodate him and let him take a test by himself, and he passed. And so sometimes those accommodations may be necessary, but what I would suggest, if you haven't done it already, is to send this to the fire commission with the fire chief, if that's okay with you guys.
I don't want to speak for Councilor Meg, but I mean on my end, I'm cool with that. I think the intention for us behind this was more of like a how do you say it, a macro approach when it comes to people going through the what's it called, the academy,
Yeah.
and then having to graduate and having to take this EMT test, having worked for us for a couple months, and we want to ensure that they pass, right? Because we're paying them throughout that whole process, and if they're not passing, then it's a loss on our end as a community. So we wanted to see what steps are being taken to help improve and make sure that people are passing these exams. And if they're not following through, then they're not following through. That's on their end. But I think the most important piece is how can we make sure we're providing the best that we can so that they do pass, especially after the investment that we've put into them. And then I think I'm happy to report that like two of the firefighters, that reasons why we started talking about this, have now recently passed the EMT exam and are now coming back on to become firefighters again, which kind of like helped quell the issue at the moment. But I think for us, it's still pursuing this kind of makes sense. And thank you for suggesting to send it to the commission, because the commission can actually dig a little deeper with the chief about this and then send us something back. They came in last time and spoke a little bit about it, but Meg, you can go ahead and expand more if you want.
I was just going to say what you had said, that the two we had to accept resignations for last year as a result have now passed, which is great news, right? I can tell that they're working on how can we support these folks. And a lot of it, from my understanding, the first conversation is just that because they can be hired and know they have 2 years, sometimes 2 years seems like it's a really long way away. And without some sort of mentor program or, study buddy, you can suddenly get yourself 3 months away from the deadline and oh no, now you have to start studying. It may not be enough time for some people. So part of it, I think, was them thinking that through. So I'd love to hear what they ended up coming up with and like what did they do to help those two gentlemen pass, because that was really exciting.
Yep, my feeling is that the fire commission is the one who oversees this, and hopefully they keep track of the people. And there's a lot of reasons, they may get called into the military and they're not able to finish. So I think there's a lot of leeway that they can do. But I don't know if you want to put yourselves on their agenda and talk to them about it, or just call up the chair of the fire commission, who is, I'm not sure if that's George Meddy or who it might be, but they're terrific. And their aim is to get these people to pass their EMTs, because it is a requirement. So that's where I would go if I were you, but it's strictly up to you guys.
So are you suggesting that we go to their meeting, or that
Yeah.
we send the request and they come into our?
Well, I think it's easier if you go to theirs, but again, it's up to you, because they meet, I want to say they meet every Monday, where I don't know when public safety will be meeting again. Or just call up the administrative assistant and see if she can get you a report, but they may want to have it on the record.
That's the reason why I kind of would prefer it to be in public safety, so that we have it on record here and on YouTube, and any person that wants to go back to it, it's on Channel 15 type thing. That's the only, like sometimes when I file things, I kind of know the answers to it, but it's just for the community to know the system that's being taken in the process. And anyone can go back and watch it on YouTube, and it helps. There's a quick breakdown for them, if anything.
So if we can, if you want to make a motion to table this
Yes.
and invite the commissioners and the fire chief in at our next meeting, maybe?
It doesn't have to be when they're at their earliest convenience, because I totally understand. This is not something that would be handled in just one moment. I just feel like it's not as much pressure, because it's kind of been handled already, the situation.
Yeah,
But
right.
systematically and structurally in the long term, we could kind of slow walk this if needed. But Meg has her hand up.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify that we had already had the chief in last time, so I think this goal was not to create another layer of burden where they had to come in again, but just to ask them to send us a formal written communication around, here's the steps that we've decided that we're going to generally take when this happens, or here's how we're trying to prevent it happening in the future. And it doesn't have to be detailed, it just needs to be, here's our plan in some sort of memo. So maybe we table it and send the request to the fire commission for that written communication.
Good idea. I'll make a motion that we do that.
Second?
All those in favor?
Oh, all those in favor? I'm waiting for.
Aye.
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 Okay.
All righty, thank you.
Motion to take up item number 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, filed by Councilor Givner, order that the Signals Division of the Fire Department implement a light delay at Hamden and Linden Streets to help avoid incidents. Now, Councilor Givner is working today, but she did speak to Councilor Devine.
Yes, she did. And she would like to give this leave to withdraw.
Oh, that's great.
So I would make a motion that we give that leave to withdraw.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion to take up item 7.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And item 7 is filed by Councilor Anderson Burgos, that the city engineer come to Public Safety Committee meeting to discuss the possibility of making Corsair Street one-way traffic.
Madam
Councilor
Chairman, I
Devine?
can talk on that as well. I spoke with Jeffrey Anderson Burgos, and even though the city engineer isn't coming in to talk about this, I believe Juan Anderson Burgos has discussed this, and he would like to have this complied with, unless, Jeffrey, there's a different answer to that. But that was my understanding, that it was complied with rather than giving it leave to withdraw.
No, you're right. There was a copy of this order that was sent to ordinance, and it was one of the long list of traffic orders that was discussed in ordinance in October. And that one was referred out as complied with, so it makes sense for this to be as well.
Okay, I make a motion that this be complied with.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. And motion to take up item 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And item 8 was filed by Councilor Bartley. Order that the city review and advise on a constituent request to install a do not block the box on Northampton Street and Longwood Ave. Councilor Bartley was here, but he
He was here, and I did check it out, and I think Councilor Rivera, Jenny Rivera did as
We
well.
both did,
And that's
yeah.
been complied with.
complied with.
So motion.
To adjourn.
Wait, real quick. So, are we motioning that it's complied with? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then I would like to take up item 16 off the table.
16, did you
Yeah.
say?
Yes.
And then 41
Wait a second.
16 and 41.
as I guess, no, separate, but
Let me just get that.
it's 41. I see it, and it's order that city engineer research a stop sign could be placed at end of Willow Street. We did that in ordinance
In
already.
ordinance,
Okay,
yes.
so what was that, 41?
That was
Yeah.
41, yeah. I remember.
Okay,
41.
So is that like
I would say
leave
complied
to
with
withdraw or complied with?
Complied with, yes.
Okay.
here. And then it's number 16 is leave to withdraw for now.
Okay, 16.
So I'll make a motion that number 16 is leave to withdraw.
And how about 17?
17 is not me.
Is what?
That's not me.
Okay.
I didn't
So we
file.
need to
So,
second. lead to withdraw.
17 does say Ira Vera.
On yours, mine says Bartley and
Bartley and
Puello.
Puello.
Okay, maybe I've got a different thing.
And
Let me
number
look at this.
16, do we need to?
So, yeah.
Second?
Yeah, so first, item 16 that I'm looking at, Patty, is, and I'm recommending leave to withdraw, is that the city council invite the Department of Public Works as well as Parks and Rec to
Okay.
meet with public safety around addressing graffiti at the skate park. I'm going to refile a different order.
That's going to be complied with?
So, no, leave to withdraw
Oh,
for now.
sorry.
So if I could get a second.
And what was the other one, 41?
Can I get a second on that one first, Patty?
16. Let's get a second on 16.
Oh, a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then 41 should be complied with because we already took care of it in ordinance.
An ordinance.
And 41 reads, and I filed it, order that the city engineer research a stop sign could be placed at the end of Willow Street where it meets Brown Ave. And we decided that we would do that in ordinance. So I would say complied with.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. And then on my end, that's pretty much so far what
Yeah.
I kind of went through it just to kind of see what I could eliminate. So far,
Yeah.
that's what I found.
Well, also, if Madam Chairman will allow, I went through a lot of these, and I'm not ready tonight to go through them, but there's a lot that we can send, that put on our regular city council agenda that are gonna go to that grant for enforcement.
Yes.
Okay? I just don't have it prepared tonight, but I will get it for the next city council meeting. And then all these orders that are in there, they can go to the police department for the compliance grant.
Awesome. I
Okay.
appreciate that too. And then I'll entertain.
Happy to do it. Retirement has its benefits.
That's it. And then motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
You guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Natalia.